Before we talk about your runners at this year's Ebor Festival, just generally speaking, is York a festival that you enjoy and you look forward to having runners at?
Oh yes, it is, very much so. Like I used to enjoy York Festival before I ever started really training any flat horses, so I just love it. It's great fun. Great place to go for the 3 days. Lovely crowds and a lot of fun people there.
Can I go back to that time then? What are your sort of early memories
Early
of
memory,
York?
we were staying with Nico Collin and with Johnny, and it was just great fun.
Yeah. And it's a very fair track. Every jockey that I speak to, trainer that I speak to, they like the fairness of the track. The best horse normally wins. As a trainer, that must be sort of one box ticked before you get there, if you like.
Yeah, it's very much so. It's it's a very fair, good, big galloping track, basically flat. And there's and a wide enough straight that if you get into trouble, you must have made it for yourself.
I asked Johnny Murtagh what it was like as a track to ride, and he said the thing that we've just touched on about the fairness. Do you think there's a type of horse that you need to do well at York?
I don't know. I think long as I think probably because it's such a long straight, you need a horse that stays properly. That always happens. I'm surprised they're not lying on the tables as well. They've caused total chaos, everything I've ever done.
Let's focus on some of your runners then this year, and obviously the big name, I guess, coming from your yard over to York is Magical Lagoon, who's just been the most wonderful horse for you and the team this year. Let's just talk through her season. Did you expect her at the start of the season to get to the heights that she has?
Well, we were hoping, because she was very good last year. She ran the maiden, was very gormless and finished fourth, and we took a chance and ran her straight off into the Group 3, which she won. And then on those two runs, I took her to the Fillies Mile in Newmarket, and quite honestly, she got a bit lost in that. She was a bit too green and didn't come down the hill, and a few things like that. So it actually made up our mind this year, because we were always this year going to start off with the Salsabill, the 3-year-old only fillies, and we thought Navan would suit her. Nice uphill finish, and she just got beaten in it. But we'd already taken the decision then that we were not going to go to the English Oaks, because we weren't sure, as she hadn't the autumn before come down the hill in Newmarket, we decided that she probably wouldn't come down the hill in Epsom. And so we thought we'd give that a miss and go straight to Ascot.
Sometimes, though, and you'll know this from I know we're dealing with very different horses, but in the jumping world, you used to see Ingles Drever do that, Big Bucks do that, and some of the jockeys who rode those champion staying horses would say that actually they liked seeing it. And in terms of Magical Lagoon, that's just what she does, but it doesn't panic you at any stage.
Not now that I understand her. It could panic you a bit when you see it, but she's never going to win by a large margin. She's always going to just do as much as she wants to do. And I think she showed great ability at Ascot. She was actually headed in Ascot and battled back, and ended up winning half a length in the end.
And then from there you went to back home in the Irish Oaks. And what did you make of that win?
Well, again, she had to do a lot of she had to run that race a bit like she doesn't want to run it. She had to take up the running a long way out. And when she's in front, she only goes, as Shane always says, she goes through the motions. She's like that when you work her here. She only does, once she gets to the front in a bit of work, she said, well, that's it, I'm done. But all the time he knew he was never going to get beaten, because as soon as something comes near her, she pulls out a bit more and a bit more.
Because of that, it seems she holds a little bit back and then does what she needs to do. How far off the ceiling of her ability do you think we are?
Don't know. She's one of those. She's very, very easy to train. We just do the same with her. Leading up to each race, she'll go to the Curragh this week, and just do a breeze with her workhorse, the same workhorse each time, and she'll do that, and then we'll just keep her ticking over after that till she travels over. she doesn't, you can almost see a rib on her now, but she carries a lot of condition. She's a barrelly kind of a filly. So, how much improvement there is in her, I don't know. She might be a much better horse next year when she, has another year under her belt.
What would the sort of ideal race scenario be for her to be seen at her best, taking into account all those factors that you've mentioned about her characteristics, if you like?
I'd like a good strong pace because she sees out the 1.5 miles very well. I'd like a strong pace and her just to be able to sit in behind the pace and have someone lead her right up into the last furlong.
What do you make if they do turn up of the Oaks horses, if you like?
Look, I was going to start second favourite to Emily Upjohn at the Curragh, but I was sort of actually quite confident that Magical Lagoon could have beaten her there. But look, everything will unfold in York and see where we'll be able to see what the pecking order is.
Just a word, if I can, on her jockey Shane Foley, who's a big part of the team here. How big an asset is he to you and the team here?
Oh, he's great. He comes and he rides out here Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays every week. He has a lot to do with where we enter horses. He has his own input into it, and he's a great help.
Fran Berry and I were talking about that, and that's sort of something that we don't see day to day. That sort of behind the scenes input that a jockey has on proceedings at a yard. How important is it that they are able to offer that input for you year round?
Oh yeah, it is important. You don't always listen to them. At least I don't. Sometimes I think they're wrong. Sometimes they're right. But it's great. The more heads you have looking at a problem or looking at a race and wondering how you're going to deal with it, the better. Because the more people, more people there with ideas, you can throw them all into the hat, and then hopefully we pick the right one up.
Have you got the right one in the Sky Bet Ebor this year, do you think, in the form of Ever Present?
Well, it's been the plans ever since last September, so I hope we have. And he didn't ask it, it didn't happen because, actually, it was one of those things, it wasn't the right race really for him to go for. And then he had a nice run, in Her Majesty's Plate. No, was it the Majesty's Plate or up in Down Royal?
The listed race in Down Royal. The listed
race, yeah. Got things a bit in a muddle coming down the hill and didn't get out in time. And I hope he's in a good place. He'll love the quick pace, and he'll like the firm ground.
The other thing as well, I don't know how big an asset you think it is, or you put on it going into a race like the Ebor, but he's won a 15-runner maiden. And he's won a 23-runner Premier Handicap. So he's got that now the big field hustle and bustle race, if you like.
Yeah, no, he likes that. He's quite a big horse himself. He's a big strong gelding, and because he started off his life in a bumper, slogging 2 miles around Punchestown, and that was his first win. And then we discovered he actually didn't go on soft ground, so we were rather disappointed in him until we then ran him on good ground and fast ground, and he just was a revelation.
So you had the plan since September. In terms of your sort of mindset with this horse, particularly leading into the Ebor, how do you sort of navigate him to get there right on cue?
Well, we were always only ever going to give him either one run before it, since last year. And to try to sort of protect his handicap mark, and that was always been the plan, and that's what we've done.
But given there's so much focus on prize money, it's great that there's a handicap worth as much as the Ebor is for you guys to compete in.
Oh, that's brilliant! I like that prize money.
And is that one of the? I mean, obviously York's put up great prize money year round, but is that? Yeah. One of the reasons why you're able now to go September, we're going to target this horse for the Ebor next year? Yeah,
I think you need to have a plan for those horses, and I think they probably need to be at least 4, maybe 5, even 6, good, tough, hard-knocking handicappers, which, as you say, very nearly group horses.
Be a nice race to win.
Be a lovely race to win.
And having success at York, I know last year Forbearance won the Galtrees for you there. I don't know whether you're aware of it crossing the line, but it was a moment picked up by the media. But you have had winners at York in the past.
Yeah.
How much do you enjoy heading into the winners' enclosure at the Knavesmire?
Oh, well, I wasn't there last year. She'd gone over on her own. Unfortunately, I don't quite know why I wasn't there. I think travel was still not being the easiest thing. Mind you, it's not easy now either. But for some reason, I didn't go over. But I've definitely enjoyed it, sitting at home.
If I can just ask you a couple more questions, just away from the horses as such, and more sort of broadly speaking about you as a trainer. Just before you came back with the heaviest bags of shopping that I've ever seen anyone carry, which you made look incredibly easy work, and Fran Berry and I really struggled with. Emma was telling us that before a big race, you like to mow the lawn. That's your sort of haven, if you like. Ahead of the Yorkshire Oaks, will that lawn be cut to millimetres?
Oh yes, it'll be shaved if I possibly can. Or I might look to see if I can mow it a second or a third time. No, I find it great. I get on the lawnmower, no one can get hold of me, and it's peace and quiet.
Is that what you like about it? You can just,
yeah.
You can't hear the phone.
And the great thing is you know you're there, and you've actually got a lot of, mowing a lawn is pretty basic stuff, as long as you don't drive off the edge of the ha-ha or something like that, or crash into a tree. So your mind can be, you can be thinking of other things, and it's brilliant.
And do you find it easy to switch off?
Yeah, I do. I'm pretty good at it. But then when I get nearer I get to the race, the worse I get. As my children say, there's a lot of huffing and puffing goes on.
It's so nice to hear, actually, that still happens. Have you got worse as the years have gone on, better as the years have gone on in that regard?
Never gets any easier. But still, and the kick of winning a race still is the same. It's brilliant.
And the other thing I want to ask you, because to viewers of this, and indeed viewers of racing regularly, given how successful you've been as a jumps trainer and as a flat trainer, they would say, do you train them any differently? How do you train a 1.5 mile filly to win a Yorkshire Oaks compared to a 3 mile staying chaser to win Grand Nationals and Gold Cups, in terms of the actual technicality of it?
I trained the same way.
Exactly the same way.
Exactly the same way. They do the same. You're not to ever work a horse over more than, at least I wouldn't, over a mile. Even the jumpers, they work over a mile. Sometimes if I take them away, they might do a racecourse gallop or something. But other than that, they work here on the gallops here. And my longest, well, you can go a mile on one of them if you want, but basically they work over 7 furlongs.
But the concept of that, you mean Usain Bolt's training program would be completely different to Mo Farah's, for example.
Yeah, but a good staying tracer will keep up with any flat horse over 5 furlongs.
Really?
Yeah. The jumpers are great lead horses.
Right.
And they're well able to go a gallop.
That's fascinating. Did you ever try and vary it when you sort of got into the flat game, if you like?
I suppose anything you do different, you don't do quite as much with the 2-year-olds. But other than that, once they get into this time of year, the 2-year-olds are going up all the gallops there, but they're not, I work all on uphill gallops, so therefore they're never going that quick. So they're just doing, if you have them fit and healthy and moving well, they're either good enough or not good enough. And
do you have not a preference, because clearly you love both codes, if you like, but do you get as much enjoyment in the flat game as you do in the National Hunt game?
Oh yeah, just as much. A winner is a winner anyway. Whether it's an opportunity 0 to 95 handicap hurdle or a Group 1, it's the same. A winner is a winner, because that horse is in the low grade handicap. It's grade 1, because it's probably as good as it is. And that's a great thing, you've actually got it to win, albeit a low grade, hurdle race, or even even you have a sort of a moderate flat horse, and when you actually get them round to winning a race, albeit a low grade handicap, that is their derby. So it's just, and that breeder and that owner is just as excited as whether it was a Group 1 or Group 2.
And finally, then, you've won multiple Grade 1s in National Hunt racing, multiple Group 1s flat racing, winners everywhere. How satisfied would you be if you were able to add a Group 1 at York's Ebor meeting to the CV?
Oh, I'd love it. Any one that I haven't ticked the box on, I want to tick the box, and there's lots of boxes that are still unticked.